Hey friends, welcome back. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you never miss life-changing content like this. If you're ready to transform your life, smash that like button and let's dive in. Life has a way of testing us. Sometimes it does so in subtle ways, whispering doubts into our ears. At other times, it throws storms in our path so fierce that we feel the ground beneath us might crumble. I have lived both. I know what it feels like when people look at you and see only what you lack, when they dismiss your dreams because they cannot see your potential. I have felt the weight of those eyes, the silent judgment, and the overt criticism. But here is what I learned. The opinions of others are not your burden. They are their own. And the moment you stop carrying them, that is the moment your life begins to change. Most people spend their energy trying to please everyone around them, trying to fit into boxes created by society, by family, by friends, and by those who think they know better. They chase validation, they seek applause for their efforts before even giving themselves a chance to feel proud. But let me tell you a secret. The applause you seek from others will never arrive the way you imagine. You can work tirelessly, achieve extraordinary things, and yet someone, somewhere, will still question your worth. And that is perfectly fine. Because your validation does not come from others, it comes from within. I want you to imagine something for a moment. Imagine waking up every day and asking yourself only one question. What can I do today to become a better version of myself? Imagine ignoring the gossip, the comparisons, and the judgments. Imagine focusing on your growth, on your dreams, and on your journey. The world will notice. But here is the most important part. It will notice when you least expect it. And the shock will come, not because you shouted your achievements from rooftops, but because your consistency, your dedication, and your transformation speak louder than words ever could. It is not about being better than someone else. It is about being better than the version of yourself that existed yesterday. The person you were last year, last month, last week, even yesterday, should be your benchmark. If you focus on that, your life becomes a continuous journey of improvement. Small steps every day, seemingly insignificant, add up to extraordinary change. People often underestimate the power of small, consistent actions. They think that transformation must be dramatic and immediate, but real growth is quiet. It is persistent. It is a daily commitment to yourself, even when the world doubts you. I remember a time in my life when people told me that I could not succeed. They said my dreams were too big, that my voice would never be heard, that my story was too painful for anyone to care about. And for a moment, I listened. I felt fear, I felt doubt. But then I realized something crucial. I could either let fear dictate my life, or I could focus on myself, on my growth, on my abilities, and rise above the noise. The decision was mine. And that choice changed everything. When you decide to focus on yourself, you create a life that no one can predict. You begin to surprise not just others, but yourself. There is a unique joy in proving to yourself that you are capable, that you are resilient, that you can face challenges, setbacks, and heartbreaks and still rise. You develop a strength that is unshakable because it does not depend on anyone else's approval. And as you grow, as you shine, as you achieve, the world will take notice. The people who doubted you, who underestimated you, who laughed at your struggles, they will be shocked. Not because you sought to impress them, but because you dedicated yourself to your own life. This journey, however, requires patience. It requires discipline. It requires the courage to walk paths that others might not understand. You will face moments of loneliness. Moments when the world seems to be moving ahead while you feel stuck. But those moments are not setbacks, they are setups. They are the times when your inner strength is being forged, when your character is being built. The more you invest in yourself, the more your life begins to reflect your efforts. The more you grow, the more your presence becomes undeniable. One of the most beautiful aspects of focusing on yourself is that it shifts your energy from negativity to empowerment. When you stop worrying about what others think, you stop being distracted by envy, gossip, and comparisons. You stop wasting energy on things that do not serve your growth. Instead, you begin to cultivate skills, habits, and mindsets that make your life richer, fuller, and more meaningful. You become unstoppable because your focus is not scattered, it is precise, intentional, and unwavering. And let me remind you, focusing on yourself does not mean ignoring the world or being selfish. It means honoring your potential, respecting your time, and investing in your future. It means understanding that you are the architect of your own life. Every choice you make, every habit you form, every thought you nurture, it all contributes to the masterpiece of your existence. People will talk, people will doubt, and some may even try to discourage you. But when your life is aligned with your purpose, no opinion outside of yourself can shake you. So start today. No matter how small the step, take it. Invest in yourself. Read, learn, reflect, practice, and improve. Surround yourself with positivity. Speak kindly to yourself. Set boundaries. Prioritize your dreams. And above all, remember that your life is yours to shape. When you commit to that, when you focus on yourself, you will shock the world, not by seeking attention, but by becoming the person you were always meant to be. When you focus on yourself, you start to notice a shift in your perspective. The noise around you becomes background static, and your mind begins to filter what matters and what does not. You stop comparing your journey to someone else's highlight reel. You stop feeling the pressure of timelines that society sets. Instead, you begin to honor your pace, your rhythm, and your personal growth. This is when transformation begins, not the kind that comes from applause or recognition, but the kind that comes from inner alignment. True power is quiet, patient, and invisible at first, but it is undeniable once it surfaces. Many people fail to understand the importance of this inner focus. They chase quick wins, instant gratification, and the approval of others, hoping that success will fill the void within them. But the truth is, no external achievement can replace internal growth. You cannot rely on validation from others to sustain your confidence. If your foundation is built on the opinions of others, you will crumble the moment they withdraw their praise. The foundation must be yourself. Your skills, your discipline, your mindset, and your resilience. That is what makes you unshakable. I want you to imagine a life where your energy is no longer spent on worrying about what others think. Imagine waking up each day with clarity, knowing exactly what you want, why you want it, and how you will achieve it. Imagine devoting your time to cultivating your strengths rather than lamenting your weaknesses. Imagine taking responsibility for your happiness instead of expecting it from someone else. This is not selfishness, it is self-mastery. And self-mastery is the key to shocking everyone in the most profound way. The beauty of focusing on yourself is that you begin to attract the right opportunities. When your mind, body, and spirit are aligned, your presence becomes magnetic. People are drawn to your energy, your confidence, and your clarity. Doors that were once closed begin to open, not because you asked for attention, but because you became someone who radiates purpose. And when this happens, it surprises the people who doubted you. They never saw it coming because you were not performing for them. You were quietly building yourself into someone unstoppable. There will be challenges along the way. Life does not remove obstacles simply because you are determined to grow. In fact, it sometimes places them deliberately to test your commitment. You will face moments of doubt, moments when progress feels invisible, moments when giving up seems easier. But it is in these moments that your true character is revealed. You have a choice: succumb to fear or embrace the challenge and grow stronger. Every time you choose growth, you are adding another layer to your resilience. And that resilience will one day astonish everyone who ever underestimated you. I have learned that one of the most important aspects of focusing on yourself is learning to let go. Let go of toxic relationships, negative influences, and limiting beliefs. Let go of the idea that you must conform to expectations that are not yours. Let go of excuses, procrastination, and fear of failure. Holding on to these things only distracts you from your growth. When you release them, you make space for clarity, creativity, and transformation. This process is not easy, but it is necessary. The moment you let go of what no longer serves you, you take a giant step toward becoming your highest self. Another vital element of self-focus is cultivating patience. Many of us want instant results. We want to see progress immediately, to feel validated now. But life's most profound transformations take time. Growth cannot be rushed. It cannot be forced. It happens in quiet moments, in repeated small actions, in consistent effort. Each day that you dedicate to yourself adds momentum. Each habit you build, each thought you nurture, each skill you practice compounds over time. And one day, the cumulative effect of your dedication will shock the world. Not because you sought to impress, but because your results are undeniable. It is also crucial to develop self-compassion. As you focus on yourself, you will inevitably make mistakes, face setbacks, and experience failures. These are not signs of weakness, they are signs of progress. Treat yourself with the same kindness and understanding that you would offer a dear friend. Celebrate small victories. Acknowledge your efforts. Encourage yourself when the road is tough. Self-compassion is not indulgence. It is fuel for resilience. It allows you to recover faster, learn deeper, and grow stronger. Focusing on yourself requires courage. Courage to stand alone, to walk your path even when no one else understands it. Courage to rise above criticism, judgment, and doubt. Courage to invest in your dreams even when the world tells you they are impossible. And here is the truth. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the determination to move forward despite fear. Every step you take in this direction adds to your strength. Every day you invest in yourself builds a momentum that eventually becomes unstoppable. Finally, remember that focusing on yourself is a lifelong journey. It is not about achieving a single goal and then stopping. It is about continuous growth, self-discovery, and evolution. Your potential is limitless, and as long as you commit to your personal development, you will keep surprising not just the world, but yourself. The people who doubted you, who laughed at your dreams, who thought you would never rise, they will be shocked. Not because you sought to prove them wrong, but because you chose to focus on your life, and the results speak for themselves. One of the most powerful lessons I have learned in life is that focusing on yourself is not selfish, it is essential. So many people misunderstand this. They think that by prioritizing their growth, their dreams, and their happiness, they are neglecting others. But the truth is, you cannot pour from an empty cup. You cannot inspire, support, or love others fully if you have not first invested in yourself. By committing to your personal growth, you become stronger, wiser, and more capable of making a meaningful impact on the world. When you focus on yourself, you begin to see patterns in your life that were invisible before. You notice the habits that hold you back, the people who drain your energy, and the beliefs that limit your potential. Awareness is the first step toward transformation. Many people live their lives on autopilot, reacting to circumstances instead of consciously choosing their path. They wonder why progress feels slow or why their dreams seem distant. But once you turn your attention inward, once you study your own life with honesty and courage, everything begins to change. You gain clarity, and clarity leads to action. Action, however, is meaningless without consistency. One of the most common mistakes people make is starting strong, but fading quickly. They take a few steps toward growth, then get discouraged when the results are not immediate. The world will not applaud you for the first effort. It will notice only when you persist. When your commitment becomes visible in your daily choices, every small action compounds over time. Reading 1 page a day, practicing one skill, reflecting for 10 minutes each morning, all of these seemingly insignificant acts build momentum. And it is that momentum, quietly and steadily, that will shock everyone when your results become undeniable. Another truth I have learned is that focusing on yourself requires courage. To break free from societal expectations, we are taught from a young age to follow the rules, to conform, to seek approval. And while guidance is valuable, it often comes with invisible shackles. People around you may resist your growth. They may feel threatened, uncomfortable, or envious. Friends may distance themselves. Family members may criticize, and colleagues may try to undermine you. These reactions are not reflections of your worth. They are reflections of the fear, insecurity, and stagnation in others. Your job is not to change them. Your job is to stay committed to yourself. The journey of self-focus also teaches patience and resilience. Not every effort will yield immediate results. Some days, it will feel like nothing is happening, like your efforts are invisible, like the world is moving ahead while you are stuck. But growth is rarely visible from day to day. It is gradual, subtle, and cumulative. Like water carving through rock, the consistent effort of daily focus transforms you in ways you cannot always measure in the moment. And eventually, the transformation becomes so profound that it leaves everyone, your doubters, your critics, and even yourself, astonished. It is important to recognize that focusing on yourself does not mean isolating yourself from the world. It means choosing the company and influences that align with your vision. Surround yourself with people who inspire, encourage, and challenge you to grow. Distance yourself from those who drain your energy or reinforce your fears. The people you spend the most time with shape your habits, your mindset, and your trajectory. If you want to shock the world, start by curating your inner circle. Let positivity, growth, and ambition surround you. This creates an environment where your focus can thrive and your efforts can multiply. Focusing on yourself also requires self-discipline. Discipline is not about restriction, it is about freedom. The freedom to pursue your dreams without distraction, the freedom to live life on your own terms. Every decision you make matters. How you spend your time, what you think about, what you prioritize, these choices are the building blocks of your future. People who appear to luck out often have one thing in common. They mastered the art of disciplined focus long before the results showed. They invested in themselves day after day without the need for validation or recognition. That same approach is available to you. There is an undeniable magic in focusing on yourself. It is not flashy, and it does not demand attention, but it transforms your life quietly, and powerfully. You will notice your confidence growing, your mindset shifting, and your resilience strengthening. The world may initially resist, trying to pull you back into old patterns of comparison and distraction. But the more you stay committed, the more unshakable you become. And when the moment comes for your growth to shine, when your results speak louder than words, the shock is inevitable. It is not a spectacle designed to impress. It is a natural consequence of dedication. Finally, remember that focusing on yourself is a daily practice, not a destination. Each day is an opportunity to choose your growth, to nurture your mind and body, to refine your habits, and to align your life with your highest potential. There will be setbacks, distractions, and moments of doubt, but these are part of the journey. Embrace them, learn from them, let them strengthen your resolve rather than weaken it. Your dedication to yourself is a commitment to your future, a promise that no one else can make on your behalf. When you live your life with this level of focus, you become unstoppable. You become a force that cannot be ignored. And the shock? It is not about revenge or proving anyone wrong. It is simply the world witnessing the power of someone who chose themselves. Someone who invested in their own growth, and someone who refused to be defined by anyone else's expectations. That is the ultimate transformation. And that is what it means to truly focus on yourself and shock everyone. Focusing on yourself often requires making decisions that others may not understand. There will be moments when the people around you question your choices, your priorities, and even your ambitions. Some may see your dedication to personal growth as arrogance or selfishness. But this is precisely why self-focus is so powerful. It separates you from the crowd. It forces you to step into a space where your vision matters more than anyone else's opinion. And the more you commit to your path, the more clarity you gain about what truly serves your life and what does not. It is easy to get caught up in seeking approval. We are conditioned to look for praise, to fear judgment, and to base our self-worth on external validation. But the truth is, the opinions of others are fleeting. They are often influenced by their own insecurities, limitations, and experiences. Your focus should never be on pleasing others. Your focus should be on honoring yourself, your dreams, and your potential. When you dedicate yourself fully to your own growth, you create results that speak for themselves. Results that leave others astonished, not because you sought to impress them, but because you cultivated excellence in silence. One of the most remarkable things about focusing on yourself is the confidence it builds. Confidence is not born from achievements alone. It is born from self-awareness, self-discipline, and resilience. When you know that you are committed to your growth, that you are doing your best regardless of circumstances, confidence becomes a natural byproduct. You no longer fear criticism or judgment because you understand your own worth. And this confidence radiates outward, affecting every area of your life. People notice it, opportunities gravitate toward it, and suddenly, the life you have been quietly building becomes visible to the world in a way that shocks everyone who underestimated you. Growth is never linear. There will be setbacks, failures, and moments when it feels as though progress has stopped. These moments are not signs of weakness, they are tests of your resilience. Focusing on yourself means learning to embrace challenges as opportunities for growth. It means understanding that discomfort is a signal that you are expanding beyond your comfort zone. Every obstacle you overcome, every difficulty you face, strengthens you in ways that are invisible at first but powerful over time. These invisible victories are what prepare you to shock the world when your success becomes undeniable. Another key aspect of focusing on yourself is learning to embrace solitude. Society often paints being alone as a weakness, but in reality, it is a gift. Solitude allows you to reflect, to strategize, and to reconnect with your inner self. In the quiet moments away from distractions and noise, you discover what truly matters, what drives you, and what your next steps should be. People who have mastered themselves often spend more time in intentional solitude than in constant social interaction. It is in these moments of reflection that you gain clarity, and clarity leads to powerful, deliberate action that others will notice. It is also essential to cultivate gratitude as part of your self-focus. Gratitude shifts your perspective from scarcity to abundance. It allows you to appreciate the journey rather than obsess over the destination. When you are grateful, even small victories feel significant, and setbacks feel like lessons rather than failures. Gratitude fuels resilience, positivity, and emotional strength. And when you combine self-focus with gratitude, you create a mindset that is unshakable, grounded, and magnetic. This is the kind of mindset that inevitably shocks people, not because it is loud or showy, but because it is powerful in its authenticity. As you focus on yourself, you begin to notice how much energy you have been wasting on comparisons. Comparing your journey to others is one of the most destructive habits you can adopt. Everyone has their path, their timing, and their challenges. When you stop comparing, you free yourself from unnecessary stress and distraction. You start to appreciate your progress, your unique journey, and your achievements. And this self-acceptance creates a calm confidence that others cannot ignore. You no longer chase validation. You live your life according to your purpose. And that is when the shock factor emerges naturally. Focusing on yourself also requires courage to set boundaries. Boundaries are not walls, they are declarations of your worth. They protect your time, energy, and focus. Saying no to distractions, toxic people, or unnecessary commitments is not selfish, it is an act of self-respect. When you honor your boundaries, you signal to the world that you value your growth above all else. People may resist, misunderstand, or even challenge your choices at first, but as your consistency and success become visible, your boundaries become respected, and your life becomes an example of disciplined self-focus. Finally, remember that focusing on yourself is about long-term vision, not short-term gratification. Growth does not happen overnight. It happens quietly, patiently, and deliberately. Every day you invest in your skills, habits, mindset, and health is a day that compounds into extraordinary results. And when the world finally sees the outcome of your dedication, it will be stunned, not because you sought recognition, but because your life became a testament to the power of focus, resilience, and self-belief. Focusing on yourself is not just about working hard. It's about working smart, intentionally, and with purpose. So many people spend their days reacting to life instead of designing it. They drift from one task to another, from one distraction to another, hoping that success will happen by chance. But success is not an accident. Transformation is not random. It is deliberate. Every decision you make, every habit you form, every action you take can either move you closer to your goals or pull you further away. The power lies in your focus, your ability to direct your energy to what truly matters. It is natural to fear change. When you begin to focus on yourself, when you decide to grow, the world around you may feel uncomfortable. People may question why you are no longer available in the same ways, why you are saying no, or why your priorities have shifted. Some may even try to discourage you, subtly or overtly. But here is the truth. Their discomfort is not your responsibility. You are not here to make everyone comfortable. You are here to honor your potential, to invest in your growth, and to live the life you were meant to live. When you embrace that truth, Your focus becomes unshakable, and your results become inevitable. Discipline is one of the most critical aspects of self-focus. It is the bridge between goals and achievement, between dreams and reality. Discipline is what keeps you showing up when motivation fades, when enthusiasm wanes, and when results are invisible. Discipline is the quiet commitment you make to yourself every day, choosing to act even when you don't feel like it, choosing to invest in yourself even when the world seems indifferent. And over time, that disciplined focus compounds into a life that surprises everyone, even yourself. One of the most transformative aspects of focusing on yourself is the ability to rise above negativity. Life will always have critics, naysayers, and skeptics. There will always be people who doubt your abilities or your vision. But when your energy is focused inward, when your priorities are aligned with your growth, their negativity loses its power. You learn to observe without reacting, to stay committed without apology, and to progress without needing validation. This inner strength is invisible at first, but powerful beyond measure. It is the calm force that allows you to achieve extraordinary results while others remain distracted by drama. Focusing on yourself also means becoming a lifelong learner. Growth requires curiosity, reflection, and the willingness to adapt. No matter how skilled, successful, or knowledgeable you become, there is always more to learn, more to refine, more to explore. The people who shock the world are not those who remain stagnant. They are those who evolve continuously, who seek wisdom, and who apply it relentlessly. When you adopt this mindset, your life becomes a story of constant improvement, and your achievements eventually become undeniable to everyone around you. Patience is another key element of self-focus. It is easy to become frustrated when progress is slow or when others seem to move faster than you, but remember, growth cannot be rushed. It is a gradual accumulation of effort, reflection, and learning. Each small step, though invisible at first, contributes to a greater transformation. Like a seed growing quietly beneath the soil before it blooms, your consistent focus nurtures unseen potential. And when the moment comes for that potential to manifest, the world will be stunned. Not because you tried to impress anyone, but because your results are a natural consequence of dedication and patience. Focusing on yourself also requires emotional resilience. Life will test you through failures, setbacks, heartbreaks, and disappointments. But each challenge is an opportunity to strengthen your mind, your character, and your determination. The person who can face adversity and continue to grow is the person who eventually shocks the world. Resilience is not about avoiding pain, it is about embracing it, learning from it, and using it as fuel for your journey. And as you build this resilience, you will notice that external circumstances no longer dictate your happiness or your progress. You become the master of your life. Another vital component of focusing on yourself is self-reflection. Taking time to understand your thoughts, emotions, strengths, and weaknesses allows you to make intentional choices. It prevents you from repeating mistakes and guides you toward actions that truly serve your goals. Reflection also cultivates self-awareness, which is the foundation of personal growth. The more you know yourself, the better you can navigate life with clarity and purpose. And when others witness the depth of your self-awareness and the results it produces, they cannot help but be amazed. Focusing on yourself is ultimately about creating a life that aligns with your deepest values and desires. It is about making choices that honor your potential rather than succumbing to fear or distraction. It is about nurturing your mind, body, and spirit to cultivate strength, confidence, and resilience. And as you invest in yourself consistently, the world begins to notice. Not because you demand attention, but because your transformation becomes visible, undeniable, and inspiring. This is the kind of impact that shocks everyone around you, not through showmanship, but through the quiet power of a life well lived. Focusing on yourself is a radical act in a world that constantly tries to pull you in every direction. From a young age, we are conditioned to meet expectations, follow rules, and conform to norms that may not align with our deepest desires. We are told how to think, what to pursue, and who to become. But the moment you decide to focus on your growth, to listen to your inner voice instead of the crowd, you take a step into freedom. It is a step that not everyone will understand, and that is okay. Your life is yours to live, and your path is yours to walk. One of the first things you realize when you focus on yourself is that energy is your most precious resource. Time passes, opportunities come and go, and the people you surround yourself with have a profound impact on how much energy you retain or waste. When you choose to invest in yourself, you learn to protect your energy fiercely. You begin to distance yourself from negativity, gossip, and distractions that pull you away from your purpose. This does not mean you stop caring about others. It means you care about your growth first, and everything else becomes secondary. Self-focus also teaches you the importance of intentional action. Many people mistake busyness for productivity. They fill their days with tasks, meetings, and endless activity, but they fail to move closer to their goals. When you focus on yourself, you learn to prioritize actions that have meaning, that build your skills, and that contribute directly to your growth. You learn to say no to things that do not align with your vision, even when it is uncomfortable. This intentionality is what allows your efforts to compound over time, creating a life that surprises everyone who doubted your potential. A crucial part of this journey is building self-confidence from the inside out. Confidence does not come from external praise. It comes from knowing that you are committed to your path, that you are doing the work, and that you honor yourself even when no one else does. This inner confidence cannot be shaken by criticism or judgment. It is quiet, steady, and powerful. And as it grows, your presence begins to change. People start to notice your energy, your clarity, and your commitment. And they cannot help but be impressed by the strength you have cultivated quietly within yourself. Focusing on yourself also involves embracing discomfort. Growth is rarely comfortable. It often requires facing fears, making difficult decisions, and stepping into the unknown. There will be moments when the old, familiar world calls you back, tempting you to settle for less than your potential. But the moment you choose growth over comfort, you unlock new possibilities. Every challenge you face becomes a training ground for resilience. Every difficult choice strengthens your character. And over time, these decisions accumulate, transforming you into someone the world cannot ignore. Another lesson is learning the power of reflection and self-awareness. When you focus on yourself, you pay attention to your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. You notice what energizes you and what drains you. You see patterns in your successes and failures and adjust accordingly. This kind of self-awareness is a superpower. It allows you to make conscious choices, avoid repeating mistakes, and align your daily actions with your long-term goals. People who master this rarely fail. They simply learn faster, adjust smarter, and move with clarity and purpose. Self-focus also helps you develop emotional independence. You begin to understand that your happiness is not dependent on others, that your worth is not defined by approval, and that your success does not require validation. When you internalize this truth, you gain freedom. You no longer fear criticism or rejection because you are anchored in your own value. And this independence is magnetic. It draws the right people, opportunities, and experiences toward you while gently removing those that do not serve your growth. The shock comes naturally when others witness the life you have built without needing their permission. Patience, as always, is critical. Growth takes time, and the results of your dedication are rarely immediate. But every small, consistent effort is like a seed planted beneath the soil. It grows silently, invisibly, until one day it blossoms into something undeniable. And when that moment arrives, the world sees a transformation that appears sudden, but in reality it is the result of years of quiet commitment, resilience, and focus. This is how you shock everyone, not by seeking attention, but by living a life of deliberate and disciplined growth. Finally, remember that focusing on yourself is a lifelong commitment. It is not a goal to be achieved and forgotten. It is a practice to be maintained. Each day offers an opportunity to learn, to improve, and to move closer to the person you are capable of becoming. Your journey is unique, and the power of focusing on yourself lies in your consistency, your dedication, and your refusal to let external circumstances dictate your path. When you live this way, your life becomes a testament to the strength of quiet determination. And that is the kind of shock that leaves a lasting impression. Focusing on yourself requires courage, because it often means standing alone. When you commit to personal growth, people may not understand your choices. Friends may question your priorities. Family may feel you are drifting, and colleagues may wonder why you are no longer following the familiar path. It can feel isolating at times, but remember this: true growth rarely happens in the comfort of the crowd. It happens when you are willing to walk a path that others cannot see yet. When you trust your vision, and when you believe in your potential more than you fear the judgment of others. The journey of self-focus also requires relentless honesty with yourself. You must face your strengths and weaknesses, your fears and limitations, without judgment. It is tempting to ignore the uncomfortable truths, to blame circumstances, or to make excuses. But the moment you take full responsibility for your life, you unlock a power that cannot be shaken. Responsibility is freedom. It is the realization that you control your actions, your mindset, and ultimately your destiny. And as you exercise this control, your progress becomes unstoppable, even if it happens quietly at first. One of the most empowering aspects of focusing on yourself is learning to embrace your uniqueness. Society often pressures us to conform, to imitate, or to follow a prescribed path. But your power lies in your individuality, in the qualities, experiences, and perspectives that are uniquely yours. When you honor yourself, your life begins to reflect authenticity. You make decisions that resonate with your values rather than what others expect. And as you live authentically, the world cannot help but notice. The shock comes not from arrogance or showmanship. It comes from the undeniable presence of someone fully committed to their own growth. Focusing on yourself also demands discipline in your thoughts. Your mind is the soil in which your life grows. If you allow negativity, doubt, and fear to take root, it is impossible to thrive. But when you nurture your mind with positivity, self-belief, and clarity, you create fertile ground for transformation. Every thought you entertain, every story you tell yourself has a direct impact on your actions. By focusing inward, by mastering your mind, you become the architect of your reality, and nothing external can derail you. Another crucial part of this journey is learning to embrace discomfort and uncertainty. Growth is rarely comfortable. Change challenges your habits, your mindset, and even your identity. There will be times when you question yourself, when the fear of failure whispers louder than your dreams. But discomfort is not your enemy. It is your signal that you are expanding beyond your limits. Each step you take through uncertainty strengthens you, sharpens your resolve, and builds the resilience necessary to achieve extraordinary results. And when the results arrive, they shock, not because you sought attention, but because your dedication and courage produced undeniable transformation. Self-focus also teaches the value of patience. Transformation is rarely visible in the short term. The daily effort, the habits cultivated, the mindset nurtured, these are often invisible to others. But just because the progress is not immediately apparent does not mean it is not happening. Growth compounds over time. Small, consistent actions create momentum that eventually manifests in a life so extraordinary that it surprises everyone who doubted you. The key is to stay committed, even when results seem distant. The shock comes from the consistency that others overlook, from the quiet work done while the world was distracted. Emotional resilience is another essential element of self-focus. Life will challenge you through failures, disappointments, and setbacks, but the person who invests in themselves becomes unshakable. Each obstacle becomes a lesson, each setback an opportunity to grow stronger. You develop the ability to respond to adversity with clarity rather than fear, with action rather than reaction. And as you cultivate this resilience, you create a life that is not easily derailed by external circumstances. People may attempt to knock you down, but your foundation is now built on your inner strength, and that is what shocks them most. Focusing on yourself also requires cultivating gratitude. Gratitude shifts your perspective from what is lacking to what is abundant. It allows you to celebrate progress even if it is small. It helps you appreciate the journey rather than obsess over the destination. When you combine self-focus with gratitude, your mindset becomes unstoppable. You gain clarity, patience, and energy to pursue your goals relentlessly. And as the world watches your growth, they are surprised, not because you shouted your achievements, but because your transformation is both quiet and undeniable. Finally, the most profound lesson in focusing on yourself is that it is a lifelong journey. There is no finish line, no ultimate destination. Each day is an opportunity to learn, to grow, and to move closer to the person you are capable of becoming. Each day is a chance to surprise yourself with your own strength, discipline, and resilience. And as you continue this journey, your life becomes a testament to the power of self-focus. A life that shocks everyone, not by seeking their attention, but by living fully, authentically, and intentionally. Focusing on yourself often means redefining your relationship with time. So much of our energy is wasted worrying about the past or rushing toward the future. We regret choices we cannot change and fear outcomes we cannot predict. But when you commit to your own growth, you begin to live intentionally in the present. You recognize that every moment is an opportunity to invest in yourself, to learn, to create, and to strengthen your foundation. The more you honor your time, the more you realize how precious it is, and the less you waste it on things that do not serve your growth. One of the first things you notice when you focus on yourself is the quiet power of self-discipline. Discipline is not about punishment, it is about freedom. It allows you to make consistent progress even when motivation fades or circumstances are difficult. It enables you to choose long-term growth over short-term comfort, to stay committed to your goals even when the world seems indifferent, and to cultivate habits that compound over time into extraordinary results. Discipline is the engine that drives transformation, and it is what allows you to shock everyone, not through luck, but through consistent effort. Another important lesson is learning to embrace solitude. Society often treats being alone as a weakness, but in reality, solitude is a gift. It gives you space to reflect, to recharge, and to connect with your inner self. In these quiet moments, you gain clarity about your priorities, your values, and your vision. You begin to understand what truly matters and what is a distraction. People who have mastered themselves often spend more time in intentional solitude than in constant social interaction, because they know it is in these moments that their growth accelerates, and when their progress becomes visible, it shocks everyone who underestimated the power of quiet focus. Focusing on yourself also involves emotional mastery. Life will challenge you through criticism, failure, and disappointment, but the way you respond defines your trajectory. You cannot control everything that happens to you, but you can control how you react. Emotional mastery means choosing calm over chaos, clarity over confusion, and action over reaction. It is the ability to maintain focus on your goals, even when the world tries to distract or discourage you. And as your emotional strength grows, your resilience becomes unmistakable, leaving people amazed at your capacity to thrive under pressure. Self-focus also demands that you cultivate patience. Growth is rarely immediate. The results of your dedication often remain invisible for long periods. It is easy to feel discouraged when progress is slow, but patience allows you to stay committed even when outcomes are delayed. Every small step, every deliberate action contributes to a larger transformation that eventually becomes undeniable. And when it does, the shock is not sudden. It is the natural consequence of years of quiet, persistent effort. Patience combined with discipline is one of the greatest secrets to achieving extraordinary results. Another key element is learning to let go. Let go of toxic relationships, limiting beliefs and habits that no longer serve you. Let go of comparison, fear, and the need for validation from others. Holding on to these things only drains your energy and slows your growth. When you release them, you make room for clarity, creativity, and opportunity. Letting go is not easy, but it is essential. Every time you shed what weighs you down, you take a step closer to the person you are meant to become. And it is this transformation that shocks those who doubted you.